Hello everyone, I'm the MXG player, and welcome back to Custom Robo. Last time, Sergey actually turned on Obero, and, Obero tried to dive into Ray, but Ray rejected him, and escaped. And here we are. Sergey is about to explain some things to us. Also, I was sneezing like crazy in the last episode, but I'm recording this on the same night as last episode, so I did take a shot of allergy medicine before I actually went into this. So, because this is important information right here, and I don't want to interrupt it while sneezing uncontrollably. Also, the music here, it almost sounds like the Final Hours theme from Majora's Mask. It honestly does. I never noticed that until now, while I was waiting to do this recording. So, yeah, let's get into it. Where are we? This room belonged to our leader, who passed away not too long ago. Z's leader? Yes. Someone here needs to hear my leader's final words. This is why I brought you to this place. Someone? Who is it? Please listen. These are my leader's final words. Ray, you'll never know how proud I am that you've come this far. Hey, Ray, how come he knows your name? That voice, it's my dad. What? It can't be. The Z Syndicate's leader is really Ray's father? Let me continue playing the message. Ray, if you're listening to this message, that means Rahu has returned and our time is short. I wish that I could have been there to see you, to fight with you in this final glorious moment. However, if you're hearing this, it also means that my time has come and I'm gone from this world. I have given my loyal friend, Sergey, details on your mission. Trust him as you would have trusted me. You don't have much time left. Give Sergey the watch I gave you to care for so long ago. With the power contained in that watch, you can defeat Rahu. I failed you as a father in life. My final wish in death is nothing but a fool's errand. I'm sorry, son. That was his final message. The watch. My dad told me to keep it on at all times. Never to take it off. He said it over and over. I promised him so many times. And he left me. Ray. Sergey, what's going on? Like you and Roy, I learned about the outside world when I became a Class S commander. Though you disappeared right after you found out about it. Sergey, why did you leave without telling us? Because I met my boss. Boss? You mean Z's boss? When I found out about the world outside, I became curious. I wanted to explore it. And there, I met my boss. I was surprised to discover somebody living in the outside world. And he asked me, why are you here? And I told him that I wanted to know the truth about the outside world. Then he asked, is there something you need to protect? And I said yes. Marsha, my sister, you were the one I wanted to protect. Sergey. We spoke for some time, discussing life in our dome and outside. Finally, he asked me, do you want to protect this world from annihilation? Annihilation? Yes, I have to admit, I really didn't understand his question. But I could see in his eyes that he was very serious indeed. I stopped to think, and I said yes. Then he said, as long as you remain in your world, you will never see the truth. The truth lies in darkness. If you discover an inconsistency in your perfectly ordered world, where all things are controlled, anything that cannot be explained, come see me again, and I may be able to help you. Tell no one that we met. Tell no one what we have discussed. With that, we parted ways. I thought about what he said, but I couldn't find any inconsistencies. That's because there are none. Roy, be quiet and listen. Continued Sergei. Then suddenly, I found it. It was right in front of me from the start. When I returned home, I saw my sister waiting for me, and it struck me. The inconsistency, that single, unexplainable thing. It was Marcia, her special power. Her strange power was a gift, and my late parents, they were suffering. Sergei, to all appearances, Marcia is an ordinary girl, and yet the kids teased her. Scientists poked and prodded, and still they learned nothing. Marcia didn't want to go, but the researchers forced her, kicking and screaming. So that's why Marcia hated the Robo researchers. I found out what they did to Marcia Research Center. It wasn't science, it was torture. They say that all people are created equal, but my sister's power stole equality from her. If this isn't an inconsistency, then what is? How did I go so long without questioning this? I couldn't wait. Once I'd seen the inconsistency clearly, I had to leave, to meet that man again. I told him about Marcia, and he said, in order to understand, you must know everything. And he told me the real truth, something even most Class S commanders do not know. The real truth. What do you mean? You're all aware that centuries ago, Rahu nearly wiped out the human race. Yeah, we were told that Rahu annihilated all of the domed cities people lived in except for ours. You were never told the truth about the outside world. You believed we lived in domes up here? Well, yeah. I mean, where else would we live? We lived free in the outside world. We lived in vast cities in the open air. Rahu destroyed all of that. What? Really? Originally, humans didn't live in dome cities. We lived outside. The outside world was our home. Rahu destroyed all of our cities centuries ago. The few who survived, they found an area that had minimal damage, and with the help of Robo technology, they built a dome to create a livable environment for a new community. I see. We hadn't heard about that part. We thought people have always lived inside these domes. You are correct, but there is still more than you do not know. The dome builders left Rahu inoperative in the outside world before they sealed themselves in. Sergei, it sounds like you're saying we deliberately chose to live in a cage, like animals. That's right, the dome protects us, but it also keeps us trapped, caged. Wait a sec, you said Rahu was inoperative. So, how did we stop Rahu last time? Rahu possessed no form of its own. It was more like a spirit than a living creature. What? No form? That doesn't make any sense. We saw it. It looked like a custom Robo. I'll explain that later. Let me continue though. Originally, Rahu was invisible, formless, but still physical, still capable of inflicting damage. We couldn't see it, but it was a real creature, and it evolved rapidly. Evolved? Not in the traditional sense, but yes, that's correct. Rahu has two fundamental behaviors. The first is to acquire new targets, in this case, us. Once it identifies its prey, Rahu destroys it, swiftly and utterly. It appropriates any useful abilities its victim possessed, anything it has not encountered before. Then, like a chrysalis, it goes dormant, awakens with new skills, and continues its hunt. Metamorphosis. I guess it really is evolving. So, what you're seeing is that it targets a creature with abilities it doesn't have and steals them. And it turns into a pupa, rests for a bit, and changes into an even scarier monster? Yeah, that's just about the size of it. That's just a secondary behavior, though. Its primary function is to annihilate every living thing. So, it's invincible. It can learn to do everything we can do, and all it wants to kill everything? Right? So what can we do? I mean, other than just roll over and die? How did they stop it hundreds of years ago when it was running amok? Custom Robos. It was because of Custom Robos that they were able to defeat Rahu. Custom Robos? Yes, back then Custom Robos were nothing but children's toys, like robotic action figures. It may sound strange, but even now, there is much we do not know about Custom Robos. Rahu's destructive rampage was at its peak, and we were all but extinct. When suddenly, Rahu targeted a young child's Robo toy. Then something inexplicable happened. Rahu merged with the Robo, melded itself with the Robo. That's weird. Why did it do that? I'm not sure. Some people think there's a connection between Rahu and the Custom Robo. It almost sounds like Rahu did a dive into that Custom Robo and, I don't know, got stuck or something? And that's why Rahu looks the way it does now. That's why we can even see it in the first place. That's correct. Now that our enemy was visible, we had a chance to fight back, and we seized it. The government remodeled the Custom Robos as weapons to battle Rahu's new Robo form. Finally, after many grueling battles, we defeated Rahu. Actually, let me correct myself. We didn't defeat it, but we were able to trigger its dormant cycle. The dormant Rahu had no new information to assimilate, and so it didn't evolve and didn't awaken. We couldn't destroy Rahu though. Instead, we bought ourselves some time. So that's the rest of the story. We didn't know. But wait, don't you think that's a little funny? Rahu was capable of destroying the entire world, and we stopped it with a child's toy? I know what you're thinking. Rahu couldn't be stopped simply with the Custom Robos. There was something else, a device designed to stop Rahu by targeting its Robo systems. A device? Sergey, why should we trust you? You're a member of the Z Syndicate now and a traitor. Even if you're telling the truth, why does it matter? What's your point? You're right. It doesn't matter. Let me ask you, when did you first find out about Rahu's attacks? Why are you suddenly... I first learned the truth when I became a Class S commander. How about you, Captain Mira? It was the same. I didn't know a thing until I was promoted. Don't you think that's odd? What? This is the single most significant and traumatic event in human history, and no one knows. It's classified knowledge. The government dictates who should and who should not know. But how could they stop the survivors from passing on these stories to their children? The people respect the word of the government. They knew it was confidential. Do you actually believe the government has the power to silence such a terrible thing? Can you think of any other reason why no one ever talked about this horrific event? It does seem difficult to imagine. So many years have passed, and nobody knew the full scope of it. Even becoming a Class S commander didn't explain everything. The reason this is such a well-kept secret is not because the survivors chose to keep it a secret. It's because their memories were wiped clean. It is a secret because no one was allowed to remember. What? Oh, for crying out! Look, this is starting to get real confusing here. What you're saying is that everyone, and I mean everyone, forgot about Rahu entirely? That's correct. That's impossible! What could possibly make everyone just forget about this all at once? Oh, nothing can make that happen. Naturally. Are you saying someone devised a way to erase every living human's memory entirely? Yes. The engineers of this foolish plan wanted to erase everyone's memories and implant false ones. Our government carried out this plan hundreds of years ago, once the dome was completed. What? The government found a way to make everyone forget about Rahu? Yes. The world exists entirely within this dome. Outside the dome, there is nothing. We are all raised thinking that this dome is our true home, where we will live and die. That is the great lie. The memory implant told us all that this dome contained mankind's entire world. But why? Rahu will awaken. It is inevitable. Could you live a normal life knowing Rahu would return? But never knowing when... I see. It was to give us a sense of security, even if it was just a lie. But how is that possible? What could possibly erase everyone's memory like that? I don't know, but they did it. They made a device that could erase everyone's memory. I can't believe it. I'm sure we would have heard something like that. Captain Mir, I've already told you. There's some things not even Class S commanders have been told. How do we know you didn't make the whole story up? I suppose you have no evidence. Except that one of these devices still exists to this very day. Really? Where is it? I got it! Harry, you do? It's at the lab, the custom Robo research lab. That's why the Z Syndicate was there. You're right. You're the man, Harry. No, it's not the lab. I thought so. Harry's not that smart. There's no way he could have figured it out before me. So, where is it? Ray. Yes? Your father's watch. That's the device. It can erase people's memories. You've had it all along. What? Ray's watch? That's why Z's leader says something about defeating Rahu with Ray's watch. I see. The device that was used to defeat Rahu was the one that could erase people's memories. Yes, hundreds of years ago, that very device helped us defeat Rahu. Sergei, why does Ray have it? How did something like that wind up with him? What was Ray's father like? He was a distinguished scientist, one of the highest-ranking officials in the government. That is why he was told the truth. We all live with false memories implanted by the government. When he learned that people had been deprived of the truth for so long, he began to have doubts. He questioned the ethics of the plan, and he knew that Rahu would rise once again. Marcia, my leader told me where your power came from. Is the result of the erasure a side effect? Right now, every aspect of the brain's development is controlled. The side effect was unexpected. Nobody realized that the dramatic change in environment and the memory blocks and implants would generate this effect. No one could explain what exactly created Marcia's power. Marcia, your power is born from the tragedy humans suffered hundreds of years ago. Let's get back to the subject. You said that Ray's father had doubts about the false memories. Was he the only one in the government who felt this way? He must have been something. He was. He stole the only remaining model of the memory erasure device. He escaped to the outside world with several of his colleagues. I'm sure the government must have been quick to send someone after him. Yes, the government soldiers had one goal: to retrieve the memory erasure device. They searched all over the outside world for him, but he was always one step ahead. Instead of taking the device with him into exile, he hid it inside of the domed city itself. He reconfigured it into that watch so that no one would be able to identify it. And then he gave that watch to Ray. Yes, to the one person he could trust, someone who didn't know the power of the object he held. And that's when your leader formed the Z Syndicate. And all this time, the Z Syndicate goal has actually been to inform the people of the truth. It was at first. We wanted people to know the truth, to prepare themselves in case Rahu did attack again. But as time passed, he began to worry, to doubt himself. He began to worry that informing everyone of the truth would only trigger mass panic. He realized that it might be best to find a way to stop Rahu without having the people know about it. That was the moment when my leader formed a syndicate made up of the strongest fighters. Strong fighters. And that's when he recruited you. I wanted to save this ruined world. In order to do that, I knew I would have to help him. He told me he needed someone to support him, no matter how insane his orders might seem. But you could have told Marcia before you left. You owed her at least that much, didn't you? To be honest, I had planned on leaving Marcia before I met your father. My sister would do anything I told her. If I'd stayed, she would never have left my shadow. It was unacceptable, unthinkable. I wanted her to think for herself, to grow into the commander she is. I thought that if I weren't around, she would have the opportunity she needed to think for herself. That's why I left the way I did. But I always watched over her. I would have to come to her aid in a second if she were ever in danger. I left, even though I knew I ran the risk of alienating her, of making her hate me for leaving her. Sergei, I've learned something. My partner's taught me something more valuable than I'd realized. Spoiling someone isn't love. Sometimes you need to be strict in order to be compassionate. That's when I figured it out. That's when I knew that my older brother still cared about me, that he still loved me. And I wondered if that wasn't why you had left me in the first place. It helped me to understand, and that's why I still love you. Thank you, Sergei. You've grown so strong, Marcia. The more I hear about this, the more complicated this situation gets. I agree. Still, after hearing all of that, it sounds like Z formed it in order to help out mankind. But what about Obito? The guy wanted Rahu for himself. When our leader grew ill, Obito and Eliza made a grab for power. That's when it began to crumble. The more they knew about Rahu's amazing powers, the more they wanted to possess it. They'd forgotten our leader's goals, and they planned such foolishness as diving into Rahu. I guess there's always one selfish sicko in every group. I acted as Obito's subordinate while looking for the chance to strike back. But wait, why was Eliza at the lab? Did it have something to do with Rahu? Obito and Eliza both knew that the memory eraser device was the key to destroying Rahu, but they didn't know our leader had already stolen it. He was never sure he could trust them. They wanted the device so they could tame Rahu for their own ends instead of destroying it. Eliza must have thought that because the Robo research lab would have such a device. That's why she attacked the lab. See? Just as I thought. Eliza thought the device was at the research lab. I am smart. I think just like the Z Syndicate's leaders. Which simply shows how flawed her thinking truly is. You've spoken long enough. Ray, may I borrow your watch? I have a chip your father gave me. I'm going to insert it into your watch now. Once I've inserted the chip, the watch's memory erasure functions will be restored. I understand. I'll give you my watch. Thank you. Please wait while I insert the chip. I've inserted the chip into your watch. The memory erasure device is now functional. Ray, I believe this is still yours. Your father put it in your hands for a reason. Point towards your target and activate it. I understand. We're almost near the end. Let's go destroy Rahu. Do you know where to find it? I've attached a tracking device to Rahu. If it's transmitting, we'll know where Rahu is. Let's hurry. With every passing second, Rahu continues to evolve. It's still evolving? Like I said before, Rahu evolves. Rahu is especially drawn to negative feelings. Hatred, envy, greed. It absorbs that mental energy, uses it to fuel its metamorphosis. So that's why it's looked different every time we've seen it. It's not just its appearance that's changing, it's growing stronger with each evolution. The device will erase Rahu's genetic memory so that it stops evolving. I fear that Rahu is resting now, preparing for its next evolution. We can defeat it if we erase its memory and eliminate its advantage. Let's go! Wow! That was so much information. That was like 24 and a half minutes of reading all that dialogue. And those two saves in between it. Yeah, they knew it was going to be a long time when they made this game. Also, my cat has been meowing. I don't know if you can hear my cat meowing at my door right now. She wants in, but I'm still in the middle of recording. But I may actually end this episode early, because that was such a long story, and he's alright. He's just fainted. He won't wake up for a while. We need to focus on Rahu now. Now, let's hurry. So, to sort of sum up what he said, Ray's father discovered the outside world, and he formed the Z Syndicate because he wanted to inform people of the truth, but then he had doubts about that as well, because it might cause, like, pandemonium or something like that. And so, he stole a memory erasure device in order to defeat Rahu in secret, but he gave it to Ray. Like, I'm not good at explaining summaries some of the time. But yeah, so now the time has come. Sergei had the chip in order to activate the watch that we have had for so many years. And, yeah, we have to stop Rahu before he starts evolving and becoming even stronger than before. So, yeah. And, by the way, that reference about the Robos being children's toy, okay, so there were two custom Robo games that came out before this one. Both of them were for the Nintendo 64, but they were only, were for the Japanese versions. They were never released outside of Japan, so I have not looked at the story for, the plots for the first two games, so I don't know if, like, they were referencing what happened in those games before this one. So, I'm not sure. Like, I can only speculate, but that's probably the case. I mean, I would have to do some more research on that. So yeah. Anyways, I think that's gonna be it for this episode of Custom Robo. There were no battles in this one, just a lot of story reveals. And my cat is going crazy out there. So, thank you all so much for watching this very informative episode of Custom Robo. Tell me what you guys thought, and I'll see you guys next time.